In this video, I'm gonna build a village idea I've had for ages now. Imagine a serene town situated on top of a lake, interconnected with sprawling docks, heaps of houses, and yeah, okay, you get it. I'm just way too excited, so let's get started, mate. Alright, so no joke, I literally spent ages in my creative world here trying to figure out where to build this freaking village. My wife came along and she literally just instantly told me what to do, and we're doing that exact thing right now. So the plan, we're gonna build a big stinking dam wall right freaking here. We're gonna raise the water of this river up here, and yeah, dude, there's so much stuff we've got to do, so we're just getting started, okay? The first thing I want to do to make positioning this dam wall a lot easier is a pretty cool little tool I've just recently discovered with the Axiom mod, and that is the old shape tool here, okay? So we're going to set it to solid, and we're going to set it to a cuboid, and we're going to put this up here. We're going to change it from water to freaking probably stone. Now we can separate the X, Y, Z, so it isn't just scaling like that, and so we can scale it, you know, separately, I guess. Someone said in the comments, yeah, control click to set the value. There we go. That's how we freaking get something higher than 64 or whatever. Drag this down, and now we can just use this to kind of figure out the height and position that we want instead of like placing it a bunch of times, you know? Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say, brother, okay? Yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty good. So let's paste that in. All right, and well, now what we need to do is fill up this side with water, okay? And so we can do that with the old flood fill tool, wherever it has gone. There it is. Set this to water, and then we need to figure out the height that we want, and we can increase the limit so we can fill up a massive area. Something like that, I reckon. Let's go up to maybe there. And we're going to place that in. Bang diddly, look at that. Now, oh my god, okay, that has filled quite a distance. Because this was an underground river by the looks of it. It goes through a cave through there. That's thanks to the tectonic mod. So I guess to maybe just keep that continuity going, we can probably get the melt tool, just expand this hole a little bit more. I mean, we're probably going to never look at this area again in our lives, but I just want it to make sense, I guess. There we go. Now it makes sense. That's good. Perfect. I love that too. That makes all of this land like closer to the water too. It's going to be so much easier to build on. Now we do have a lot of trees that are kind of just underwater here that we do need to fix, definitely. So I believe with the script brush, we have a brush that is called clear foliage. There it is. And I'm just going to paint this along the entire kind of coastline up here, and that will get rid of all of those ugly trees underwater. And I'm just going to clean up the other side as well. I'm going to fix up all of this water because obviously those trees have left some holes. So give me a second and I will be right back. Okay, and here is our new area. I ended up clearing away a lot more trees because I actually have an idea for this to look better, basically. What I think I want to do is kind of, I don't know, make this all come to like a bit of a lake. So I want to kind of turn all of this area into water. And I think that is going to look pretty good. So first, let's get the elevation tool. We're going to make that quite massive, and I'm going to set it to flatten. And I kind of want all of this to be only a couple of blocks above the water here, like this. So I'm just going to pretty much start flattening a lot of this terrain around here. Actually, all this is going to be turning into water. What am I thinking? So honestly, we're going to be flattening it from down here, way down in the lake. Now, to make this a lot faster, we're going to increase the rate here. We'll go back down here and set our start point, and then just start basically painting this in all of the area that we're wanting. So yeah, that's pretty much perfect. And I just want to do the exact same thing to the other side as well. Okay, so here's our area so far. Obviously, it does look whack as hell, okay? I'm not gonna beat around the bloody bush, okay? But what we're gonna do next should hopefully make it look normal again. So let's fill up this lake here. Fill him up about there. Do the same on this side too. What the hell's going on with this gap here? Fix water, dickhead. Okay, so there is our lake. And now obviously we do have like this massive flattened area that I've added, which does look quite whack. Also, we do have floating lava over here, which we can just go with replace near 50 lava bloody 0. See you later. So to get this terrain, oh my god, what the hell's this? Why is there floating grass? So yeah, what we can do to fix this terrain basically is use the slope tool. And then with this tool, all we need to do is set our first point. I'm also going to make this a bit bigger. We're going to set our first point and then our last point. And now from between those 2 points, we can essentially paint on a slope of terrain like so. And that is essentially, well, my idea on how we're going to make this look more normal. It does not seem to be working very well yet. I think first what we might do is actually change all of this stone over to grass just so it looks more normal, because that's probably not helping in terms of, you know, it looking weird. And then to make it look more normal, I'll probably go back and like use the smooth tool and just smoothen all of this off so it looks a little bit more natural, because right now this is absolutely whack as hell. Alright, so I actually pretty much ended up redoing everything, and this time I essentially just spammed the elevation tool set to the triangle mode, and this actually ended up looking pretty good in the end. Okay, here is our brand new improved area, and yeah, like me, you may have noticed at this point that this is basically a giant wang, okay? Like, it's very obvious, and we need to do something about it, okay? We can't... yeah, honestly, I don't know how to make this less wang-like. Damn it, dude, that's annoying. I do want to put a big stinking bridge across here, but that might look like a ring of sorts that you would utilize on your wang. But yeah, so you can see our new and improved terrain. It's not the most natural looking, but I have gotten our stone back in. Basically, I'm going to be covering this all with trees anyway, which actually we might get to now just because I'm sick of kind of looking at it. So I'm going to have to sit here like basically by hand and just right click all of this frickin' terrain and fill it in with goddamn trees, dude. It's gonna look a lot better once we do that though, so I'm gonna get a quick time lapse of this crap done, and I'll meet you guys on the other side. Alright, so I simply continued placing trees everywhere along the landscape. That sort of made sense, I guess. I also jumped over to the opposite side and repeated the entire process again. And well, once the trees were all added, I began addressing the wang situation, with the first order of business being to smoothen off the ball transition in an attempt to remove the sack portion. I then began adding plenty of islands and roughened up the landscape in the sack area to again remove the illusion of balls. Alright, here is our new and updated sack and wang. I think it's definitely looking, it is looking like a mangled kind of sack now, but if you just kind of put that image out of your head, it definitely does just look like a bit of a lake with some islands and a river connecting, okay? And yeah, so honestly, this does differ quite a bit from my original plan of just having some like kind of excavated areas on the sides and having mainly docks. Now we do have a lot of islands and kind of little incoves and stuff, which I actually kind of prefer. And I'm really excited to connect all of these together with docks and put houses on all of these and stuff. But yeah, my plan has just been kind of thrown out the window, so I'm basically winging it from this point onwards. Okay, now just before I was gonna continue building, I did notice like you can see like the biome color kind of changes a bit here and over here as well. This is from I think blooming biosphere or something. All these leaves are like orange. So if you ever find yourself in this situation where you got different kind of biome colors, with the Axiom mod, you can grab out the old biome painter. We can set this probably just plains. Bang. We're going to fill it vertically as well, make this massive, and then what we can essentially do is just paint the plains biome across our entire landscape so that the biomes stay one uniform color, you know what I'm saying? So like that, and there you go. You kind of probably didn't really see it, but I did. All of the colors just updated over, and they're all the same. All these leaves are the same color now as well, which is, yeah, a lot better. I did miss all of these trees up here, so we'll be able to see it in bloody real time. So paint that on and bang, there you go. All bright, nice, vibrant green. There we go. Everything's looking nice and uniform now. And the next thing I want to address is actually how we get down into this village. Well, actually up into it, because I was thinking of maybe changing this landscape a little bit and adding a pathway from here that would branch up off into our town. So we're going to grab the old elevation tool here. I'm going to set this to lower. Just start basically holding down left mouse here. Yeah, I'm going to increase the rate a bit so this doesn't take all frickin' day. Oh my god, okay, that's gone quite deep. I did not mean for it to go that far down. We're going to now change this over to flatten, bring this back up, and I'm going to slope it from maybe here all the way up over to our spot. And then we're going to paint all of that in like so. And that's going to give us the perfect surface there to add our pathway onto. Yes, that is beautiful, mate. Okay, now to get our pathway in, we're going to use the path tool, of course. And now I'm going to clickety, you know what I'm saying, all the way up to here. There we go. There is our path added. Obviously, it does need a little bit of cleaning up, like we got grass everywhere here. But there is our pathway, branched off from our main pathway. That is looking really good. And essentially what we're going to do is now snake this path throughout the entire village. I think what I might do is kind of just get an aerial shot of this entire place. I'm going to lower my FOV to make this a bit easier too. I'm going to start painting in some pathways now. Let's get bloody to it. Okay, so I finished the path on this side of the land, I guess. Now, my original plan was to add a bridge that was connecting like these two sides, but honestly, it's probably going to look very weird having a bridge that freaking long. So my other idea was basically just to make the damn wall the bridge instead, which should work out freaking perfectly. I don't know why I didn't think of that before, honestly. Okay, so there's our pathway connected up, and I actually ended up just quickly changing this whole area because once again, my wife had another good idea, and that was to make something like this instead, of what I had. And I feel like that'll just look a lot nicer having houses lining this. And then like, I don't know, we'll figure out something to do with that. Just having this like little like coastal area is just, I don't know, really nice. Okay, but back to the dam. I did look at a couple of reference images and there's something called the Gordon Dam. And it looks very similar to this, but except it is actually curved. So I think I want to add a little bit of a curve to this. I think the easiest way to do it is just going to be basically selecting the entire thing like this, like the middle kind of area. I want to shift this back maybe 3 blocks, and then we're going to get the next kind of segment, and then the next segment, and move it back by 1. And that'll give us like a little bit of a curve. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Just a little bit more organic looking, and yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with that. And obviously we do need to fix this. I don't know if this landscape here is natural, but something we can do with World Edit is / regen. That'll basically just regenerate that little slither of land. There we go. I can also probably do that same thing with this like bottom portion that we've messed up here. Here we go. Perfect. That's perfect. Okay, let's head back up here and start adding some freaking details to this. So firstly, I think what would look really nice is just having a couple of little openings with some water slowly trickling out. Okay, I ended up doing quite a lot of redesigning, and this is the final design I've ended up with here. We've got a lot more depth added in and just a little bit of texture as well, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Now, I think it is finally time to move on, and I think now what we're going to do is continue this pathway over on this side. I'm going to have this wrap all the way around over to here, and then I'm also going to start adding in a bunch whoopsie daisy of wooden like oak docks that'll kind of branch off from these pathways and connect to these islands together, and also a bunch of decorative docks as well. So let's get bloody to it. Alright, so first off, I continued the cobblestone path off from the dam wall and around the entirety of this side of the land, along with looping the path with a bridge. Back on the right side of the lake, I added a bridge connecting this first island, a second bridge for the other island, and then connected the islands with a final bridge in between. I then started building the first house, finally, on that first island. I wanted to make this one into a pretty big, almost fishing processing plant of sorts, with a big house right in the middle of this platform. In terms of the block palette, I went with a pretty bold diorite for the walls, oak for the pillars, and copper for the roof, which I felt fit the grungy fishing village aesthetic I was after. I also made sure to add plenty of details around the place to make it feel like a pretty heavily used area from everyone in the village. Dude, this house turned out way freaking better than I thought it would. This thing looks so good. My favorite part's definitely these little like individual sections down at the bottom. I love this so much, man. Holy crap. Yeah, this is kind of the vibe I want to go with for our fishing houses. I really do like the waxed like copper roof as well. Oxidized cut copper, whatever the fucking hell, Jesus Christ. So we've got a bit of a stone foundation going, and like, yeah, I think I probably already explained all of this house in the time lapse, so I won't freaking blabber on about it. And then when it comes to the houses on the actual land, I think I want, I don't know, I'm really interested in trying like a really slim kind of house, maybe literally like 3 to 5 blocks wide, but then like really long. I'm gonna make them pretty simple as well, I think, so that way we can make them angled as well, like throughout this entire thing. And I want each one to have its own little dock kind of situated and sprawling out the back here. I think that is gonna look really freaking cool. Now, honestly, I'm thinking like maybe just terracotta style houses, and we can kind of just change the color as we go for each one. So towards this area up here, we will have straight houses. I definitely think 5 blocks wide is going to be exactly what we're after here. Yeah, so we're going to stack these up as high as we want. I think maybe one more. Bang. And now as for the roof, honestly, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I do like the idea of having like a consistent kind of theme and like using these style roofs over there too. I think that's going to look pretty cool. So pretty much something like that. And then I'm just going to, you know, continue that all the way down. I'll add a couple of details on the outside. And then in order to get this rotated, hold on, just let me build this entire house real quick and I'll show you how we're going to rotate it. All right, so there's the basic house, obviously lacking a lot of detail. I've done that on purpose, but we will come back and obviously detail this more. But what I want to do is get the old box select tool. I'm going to select the entire house here. Now we're going to press enter to confirm it, and I'm going to copy it. Now, if I go to place it, with Control V, you can see, obviously, we have a whole nother house here. But now what we can do, if we go unlock rotation up here, and then we start rotating this bad boy, bang, it's going to give us a diagonal house right there. Now, obviously, it is going to be a little bit whack-a-diddly, so we're going to have to fix that up. But if I just go ahead and paste that in, you can see we basically have, like, the general, well, holy shit, that is messed up. I think a better way of doing this is going to be duplicating the whole house once again. And then on this one, we're going to replace all of the slabs and stairs with full blocks. And this is going to be a really good way to get like that diagonal house look without it being kind of, well, messed up, I guess. And what I might do as well is actually just get rid of all of the details and just add those back in manually, I guess. So let's go ahead and select this entire thing once again. Bang. This time I'm going to cut it. Okay, we got our blueprint saved. Let's go ahead and try rotating it perfectly 45 degrees. There we go. We'll get something a little bit better there. So yeah, there you can see it's a very rough diagonal house. It does need a little bit of fine tuning, but that is the kind of easy way to get your houses a bit more diagonal. You just got to simplify them first, and then you can rotate them with Axiom. But yeah, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste a bunch of these little houses along this entire kind of shoreline here. Maybe even wrap it all the way up around here too. And then I'm going to start adding some docks kind of sprawling out from each house. So I'm going to get all that figured out, and I'll see you guys in the time lapse. All right, you're about to see 1.5 hours of work in 40 seconds. So yeah, I first added all of the houses around the entire area, which was actually a massive pain in the ass, along with the fact that I had to hand place every front door, back door, window, and other details into every single house. I also used Axiom to change the color of every house so it wasn't so repetitive, along with adding a dock for every house as well, which really made the whole area come to life. Now it was time to get into the gritty details, first of which I made a classic lamppost and pasted it around the entire village. Back towards the entrance to the village, it was a bit plain, so I began adding various details like a couple of log piles, along with getting a bit of a market district situated. I also noticed our severe lack of chimneys, so I began adding some to various houses across the village. Alright, and here is a look from afar at our island, what the f am I saying? At our lake village thing so far. And dude, this is looking insanely good. And well, I did show this shot to my wife, and yes, basically she's running the channel now, guys, but she said we kind of need some like centerpiece, and I really do agree with her. I just feel like this isn't enough of like a centerpiece, so I think what I want to do is make another little island right here. So let's get bloody to it. So to do that, we're just going to use the elevation tool once again. We're going to set it to raise, and I'm just going to hold left click a little bit here, not too much. We don't want to go spastic with it. There we go. Now that we have our height here, we can set this instead to flatten to bring all of the terrain up to this height around it. I don't want this to be too big of an island, and I do want it to be kind of circular. Right now it's very egg-shaped. I think that should be pretty good right there. And well, what I want to build on this is, of course, a bit of a lighthouse. Not just any old freaking lighthouse either. I want this thing. This thing's going to be massive, brother, okay? Although I do feel like this island is a bit too big, so I'm just going to shrink it down a little bit. All right, now let's get started with our lighthouse. So we're, of course, going to use the classic blocks. We're going to use some quartz and also some red concrete. Now, oh, actually, I have an idea as well. We can use the shape tool again, and we should be able to get a bit of a cylinder. Paste him in, and we should be able to get like a decent shape with this, I reckon. I think that's looking pretty good for like a base there. Let's paste a copy so that we keep our little selection box, and then we can easily just move this up, and we're going to scale it back diameter just a little bit like that. And there we go. That is our lighthouse done. No, I'm just kidding. It's not done, of course, but that's the shape there. That's looking pretty good. Now what we need to do is get our rings added in. So I want a gap of 2 blocks between, and then we can start adding our rings in. All right, that is looking pretty freaking good. Look at that bad boy. That is a really awesome looking little centerpiece there. That's so good. We do need to get the top portion situated here. So I think what I'm going to do for that is the classic oak slabs around the sides here. You know what? I'm just gonna try putting 30 gigabytes into Minecraft straight up. I'm not even joking, because once it reaches that 11 gigs there, bang, there's a stutter. So I'm gonna beef this boy up. I'm gonna put in 32 gigs of RAM and see what happens. I'll be back. Okay, we are back. We've got 32 gigs of RAM allocated to Minecraft. Hopefully that stops the stuttering now. That'd be pretty good. I don't know. I think I'll just slap the roof on. So for the roof, what we're gonna do, we're gonna get the shape tool again. We're going to get the cone. There we go. That's looking a lot better now with the roof added on there. I'm just gonna smoothen this roof off a bit by adding a bunch of slabs to the corners and stuff. So once again, give me a goddamn freaking second. All right, now for the light bit, let's do something like this maybe, and we'll get some lights there. Bang. Maybe even add a couple little more details in here. Maybe some like trap doors going down from these stair bits. That almost looks infinitely worse. Never mind, we're not doing that. Yeah, kind of like the simplistic look of that, I guess. But I do feel like this area is very flat of the roof. Okay, that actually looks pretty good with just some trap doors kind of alternating there. That doesn't look too bad. Yeah, honestly, that looks awesome. I really do like that smoother transition there. That looks really cool. All right, so next up, let's get this door added on. So I want to give ourselves a little bit more room out here. So let's just extend this stone out. Okay, and there we go. That is a pretty super simple little white house. What the hell am I saying? A lighthouse there. That's looking pretty good. I think for some extra detail to this, we'll get the rock tool, and we can add some kind of rocky outcrops like around this island as if that's like what it's protecting, I guess, against. Oh yeah, there we go. That is looking awesome with those rocks around it. Hell yes, dude. Now, one thing I did forget about is we kind of need a way to arrive at this lighthouse. So I'm thinking what we do is we connect this pathway up here to a bit of a dock. I think that's going to be freaking perfect. So we can bring this pathway down this way. That is looking pretty freaking good right there. And then I think I will also copy this cute little boat design that I made down here. Now maybe just a couple of little details on this dock, maybe like just some random shit, honestly. Hell yeah, dude. That is our centerpiece for the whole area done. And that just makes this entire thing look so much cooler, dude, having that there. Okay, so with our lighthouse done, I want to now move over to this island here, okay? And I instantly got an idea for this, to make a maybe L-shaped building and maybe make it into like a horse stable or like a animal barn of sorts. I'm gonna probably do this as a bit of a time lapse, so let's get started right now. All right, so speeding through the stable build, I got a roof slapped on real quick and began adding the stalls for every single horse. I also added plenty of details like hay bales to every stall, along with adding a horse into everyone too. I then turned my focus to the rest of the island, first getting a big stinking dock placed in with a boat, along with deciding on getting some farmland situated as we were lacking in any crop farms in the entire village. After getting the final carrot farm established behind the stable, I then began adding another lighthouse, because why the hell not? Okay, and there we go. This island is now fully completed. Now I think it is time to move over to this side of our lake village thing. So I don't really want to repeat what I've done over here, okay? So this is meant to be kind of like the ritzy, you know, area. Everyone has their own dock and like little yard and stuff. And I think over on this side, I want to keep it more kind of like fishing village looking. So maybe houses more like this one. So each house has like a platform around it and like a dock and stuff. Yeah, basically, well... the same thing over here, so each house is going to have its own dock. But I just want to lay it out a little bit differently. And I think as well, having like a big market area, maybe like stretching along here on a massive curved platform would be super cool. So yeah, each one of these houses I'm probably going to build by hand. So this is probably going to be the most time consuming part. So let's get frickin' to it. Starting off, I decided on tackling the market district, of which I wanted to be pretty large, taking up the entirety of this stretch of the village. After filling the platform with stalls, I definitely felt the market district would have plenty of docks to arrive at, so I added a stretch of them in just behind it. After finalizing the details, I then moved on to the first proper house of this side of the lake village, opting for that more traditional fishing house style, using the same palette from the first house I built, oak wood, diorite, and copper in the roof. With that first house all done, I then moved on to the next one, pretty much utilizing the same process, except just making the house more unique in shape. With the details finished, I then moved on to a bit of a mineral processing plant, complete with a warehouse building, big gravel floor, a crane for moving lots of ore and rocks at a time, along with a dock for transporting everything. Moving over to the other side of the bridge, I began building another house design, and once that was done, I got a bit lazy and copied the first ones I built and placed them over here. I'd also felt that having this pathway just end abruptly was a bit weird, so I decided on adding another arrival point to the village along with another house up here too. Finishing up this side of the lake fishing village, I placed around more lampposts, more houses, and got a bunch more trees sprinkled around. Alright, and there it is. Honestly, this village ended up being pretty freaking huge. I think it's almost the biggest build in this entire world. And just taking a look at this thing with the ortho camera mod, oh my god, what an awesome village. And so if you want to explore this, like, basically this entire world for yourself, the download will be available over on my Patreon, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. Also, be sure to leave some ideas in the comments for future videos in this series. You know, on like what I should build. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.